Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, City Council. At this time at 7 p.m., I would like to call the Haslet City Council to order this February 3rd, 2025, again at 7 p.m. There is a quorum present. If you would bow your heads, I will offer the invocation, then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Almighty Father. We enter your gates with thanksgiving. We enter your courts with praise, and we do. Thank you for all things, and we praise your holy name. We ask that you continue your guidance on our country, our states, and our cities. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are no proclamations or presentations, so let's move on to 4, citizen participation and comments. Do we have any in the chambers? Please, go ahead.
I have 2 to read into the minutes, but they're for item 8B.
For 8B, okay. Do we have, at this time?
Yes, sir. I don't have anything particular.
If you would go to the mic, you'll need to state your name and your address.
Okay. I'm Kathy Brandon. I live at 213 Bain here in Hugh White. And I don't have anything that's listed on the agenda, but I just have some observations that I would like to share. Mayor and council members, as you know, I live in Hugh White, and I've been a resident there for over half of my life. I'm sure everyone here is totally aware of the traffic situation, and you have probably read several articles recently in the Star-Telegram. One of them even stated here just in the last few weeks, they're making it just like Dallas. The article mentioned 4,500 homes and apartments units are will be in the pipeline for Bonds Ranch. One of the builders, Inspire Homes, will be leasing out 196 single-family residences, which will be ready to begin the move-in later this year, in the very near future. I don't know if you know where they are. They are located just across from Virginia Lane. They're putting up fences, and you can pull up to the corner of Bonds Ranch in Virginia, and you can see them all. They're located, of course, just across the street. We all know that the city doesn't have responsibility no longer for Bonds Ranch. Nonetheless, we feel this is a Haslet problem. It's a Hugh problem. Something needs to happen. The through traffic driving on Bonds Ranch, of course, they're either caught by the light at 156 or they're caught by the roundabout at Harmon. Those of us exiting or entering the addition can't get in or out. We pull up to the street, the lanes of traffic are blocking, and unless some nice person happens to let us out, we can't get out. And you can inch your car further and further up, and they just ignore us. They just keep coming. We're concerned about the day that we have emergency vehicles that can't get in or out in a timely manner. We need your help. This will never get any better. It's only going to get worse. We have a do not block the intersection sign located on White Lane. There's one in the ditch on Virginia, and we don't have any on Bain. Can we ask for your help in getting some more signs put up? This might help a little bit. This traffic does affect all 3 streets in Hugh White. What about some other considerations? Is there something that we can work with Fort Worth in developing some kind of a future plan for this? Could there be possibly a street light maybe at one of those streets to enter or exit? What about even blinking lights or something of that nature? Anyway, we ask for your help on this. As citizens of Haslet, we just feel this is a serious situation. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Brandon. Do we have any other speakers? other than you said for item 8B. Very good. Is there one online wishing to speak?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go to items of community interest. 5A, city office closures, February 17, 2025 for President's Day. 5B, City of Haslet is accepting applications for place on the May 3rd, 2025 general election ballot until 5 p.m. Friday, February 14, 2025. The office of Mayor, Council Member Place 2, and Council Member Place 4 will be on the ballot. 6, item updates on active items, projects, and events recaps. Community park projects. I do know that we have had a number of complaints about the trails, the concrete trails through the park, and we do have you wouldn't happen to have a presentation on that, do you? That's all right. If you got to go hunt for it, we're not going to do. There's 4 projects, and that is a rebuild of that, addressing the drainage on the north end and on the south end and several other spots too. But those plans are, I believe, coming out this week and will soon go to bidding. And you'll be seeing those bids in probably about 4 to 5 weeks. Haslet Parkway construction, that has not made any progress. Fort Worth District, TxDOT Fort Worth District has not communicated with Haslet, and they owe the city a 60% design, so we can review that. The 89th Texas Legislature, I just want to mention there on the next council meeting, we will have a number of bills. There is a move among the legislature to remove municipalities' abilities to self-govern its land use. And it will have a detrimental effect on municipalities, large and small. And so these particular bills will be presented to you and our viewpoint of the downside, and eventually ask for a resolution that we can send to the state. I just passed out some materials. It was requested that to get an update on the appropriations request for that farmers market and community teaching gardens. Will you pull that up, James? Okay, the first item, the other item first. Okay, the first one here, this was a report. This was from the Congressional Appropriations Committee, and they went through and selected the projects. Now, I've copied 3 pages out of this probably about 400-page document. You'll see this one right here. I don't know if you can rotate that for the sake of the audience. All right, there it is listed. City of Haslet, farmers market improvements, $2.3 million. That went to Congress to enter into a bill. Next set of papers.
Mayor Halsey?
Yes.
I guess I was a little bit confused when I looked at that. It says that went in front of Congress for 2.3, but if I look at that next page, under the economic development, they only approved 2.1 for all these different ones. Is that what I saw?
That's, okay, go back to, yes, this page right here, okay, here is $2.3 million. If you scroll down to the bottom, the last page, okay, at the top of the page, All these numbers are in thousands. So that's not 2 million, that's 2 billion. 2,176,158,000, and that's the total of all the appropriations that were requested that they approved. All right, if we could go to the bill. It's actually it's House Resolution 9028. And this is for the appropriations and year ending September 30, 2025. If you would go to the next page, they don't have projects listed, but the important aspect is here on, it's bill page 122, line item 10, $2,176,157 or $157,732 shall be available for grants for economic development initiative. If you go back to the committee's report and recommendation, that is what this Haslet's recommendation is. And that last page on the recommendation, they're recommending expenditure, if you can go to the previous document. So remember this $2 billion number, it matches this that the appropriations recommended. So it's written in the bill. And we're just waiting for the vote. Any questions on that?
Yeah. Mayor Halsey, I had a question. Where it says it's the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, that's not a deadline or any type of time frame for when we have to have anything done. It's just, what is that?
Oh, no.
Okay, I didn't think
That
so.
is just that budget year. And I believe these, in the pages I provided, it'll stipulate, or elsewhere in the document, that these funds are available till 2029.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then.
Mayor, before we move on, off
Yes.
of item number 6, question on related to the parks down there. I notice we still have the 2 main Christmas trees still up, which, I mean, those are probably 2 of the most expensive items that we've got with the Christmas decoration. Do we got a time frame when we're going to get those down?
Public Works has been, of course, they have been taking all the other decorations down, and that is the last item to remove.
Okay, do we have a timetable and will it be completed?
James, do you have it?
This week is the hope. We had hoped to get it done last week, and both of those items are going back to our shop for some repairs. So that's really just been the hang-up, is we had to free up some trailers to move those back, but this week is the plan. We'll make sure we get those out.
Okay, and then what's the timetable to finish up the playground area where we've got the T-post and safety netting still up? That's been up since December.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. They're going to be finishing up the last little bit of the gravel pack around that. And that's finished. After that, it's just a little bit of gravel and some dirt, and the drains are finished. We'll take up the...
Okay, I know it's early in the year, but this weekend with the weather the way it was, Gamble Park was packed with kids down there, and obviously it's just it's an accident waiting to happen. So just like to see that get finished up. Thank you.
All right. We go to item 7, consent agenda. 7A, approval of the January 13, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Motion is made to approve the minutes as submitted. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second.
There is a second. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, item 8. 8A, discuss, consider, and act regarding approving an ordinance calling for the May 3rd, 2025 general election and authorizing entering into a joint election agreement with other Tarrant County political subdivisions.
Is that to me?
That's to you.
Okay. Yes, we have an ordinance for you. As you know, we have the filing period open for the May 3rd election, and this is the ordinance that would authorize that election and is part of the step in that process. We also need to enter into agreement with Tarrant County so that all the polling places and things that we utilize them to help administer our elections, that we enter into the agreement with them.
All right, council.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance calling on the May 3rd, 2025 general election and authorize entering into the joint election agreement with other Tarrant County political subdivisions.
Motion is made to approve the ordinance calling for the May 3rd, 2025 general election and authorizing entering into a joint election agreement with other Tarrant County political subdivisions. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There's a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Approved, unanimous. Thank you, council. 8B, discuss, consider, and act on approving an ordinance updating the fee schedule to reflect the library's circulation policy and implementing an annual library fee of $25 to non-residents of the City of Haslet. So I understand we have a couple of speakers or items to be read.
Correct. I have items to be read.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. The first one is from Lisa Day, 401 Bent Tree Lane. The Haslet Public Library should be available to the public. There should be no fees to use these services. Having a center of learning available to everyone in a community is crucial to the community's health and ability to continue growing and adapting together. Take this away and the city will be known for being elitist and restrictive. The number of people who come to Haslet to use the library will dwindle, impacting any small businesses they may patronize when coming to our city. This is a bad and short-sighted proposition, and it sends a very negative message to those who look to Haslet as a possible place to live or establish a business. Please read this into the minutes as part of the City Council meeting. The next one is from Tony Overdirth, 501 Country Lane. I would request that the following be read into the meeting minutes. Normally, I feel that services rendered to someone should be reimbursed by that person to those who offer the service. However, I also feel that there are some services that are provided by government entities that are so important to the general public that they are offered to all who would like to access them. The library and all its functions are one of these. As a repository of knowledge and a dispenser of this knowledge, it is a vital resource for all members of the overall community and not just for the citizens of Haslet. The library can and should be a place for anyone to come to seek knowledge, find a warm and safe haven from the ravages of the weather, even though it is only temporary, and be a place for individuals, young and adults alike, to come and feel safe and secure from whatever they feel endangered by. Other libraries offer free services and don't ask you where you are from or whether you can pay. If we start to do so, we will likely find that others follow our lead, and that would be most unfortunate. Citizens of Haslet stand to lose far more than the city may gain, and it isn't what is best for our citizens, what it should be about, and not what some bottom line on a spreadsheet shows.
Is there, are there any other comments to be made? Do you have anybody online?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Kelly Turner. Kelly is our library director.
So as it says there, on January 16th, the library board voted to recommend an annual $25 fee for non-resident library patrons. This is in response to an increase in demand for library services and materials as Haslet and the surrounding areas continue to grow. And since we're funded by local taxes, a non-resident fee would ensure that we can continue to offer quality services and programs to all of our patrons. This would not keep anybody out of the building. This would not it's not quite as limiting as it might sound. So I just kind of wanted to let everybody know that several other public libraries do charge non-residence fees. We didn't make this concept up. We're not the first to propose it. When the Fort Worth Library builds a new one down the street in a couple of years, they will charge $50 a year to their non-resident card holders. There are several other libraries. There's several in the state of Texas that charge well over $100 a year to use their libraries for non-residents. So this would end up being, the board agreed that $25 a year was palatable for the people in this area, and it would end up being $2.08 a month to use our services and have access to our collection. I also want to make sure that it's clear. We are in a consortium with 10 other local cities, and 9 of them offer free non-resident cards. And so for those patrons that cannot or don't want to pay this fee, they are welcome to visit those other libraries to get a free non-resident card there. And then they can use that same card here at Haslet, and they can still have access to the collection and the services that we offer. And I just had a little update on the numbers that we have. They're a little bit different than what's on the agenda just because these are newer. We currently have 7,531 card holders. 5,745 of those do not live in Haslet. That's 76% of our patrons. And 78% of those non-residents live in Fort Worth. This is about the growth. And we're averaging 139 new accounts every single month, which is wonderful, but we're limited, and that's where this comes in. So if from January 1st of 2024 to January 31st of this year, we had 1,670 new accounts. 1,294 of those, or about 78% almost, were non-residents. And if all of those people had agreed to pay this fee, that would be $32,350.
So of that percentage that it's noted in there, if those non-residents were to sign up, that's a potential revenue of approximately $150,000 a year to help fund that program. Otherwise, it is the citizens of Haslet, Texas that fund that. So I think it is a high value, $25 a year, and that pays all the fees associated with your programs.
Correct.
So I had a question. You said out of the consortium, we would be the only person that charges?
Us and one other city that we're in.
Oh, there's already 1 out of 10.
There's 11 cities in there, and Watauga currently charges, and they also charge 25.
Okay.
Mayor Halsey.
Yes.
Ma'am, you said in regard to the fee that is charged, other cities charge $50 and $100 respectively. What amenities and total package do they offer versus what we currently offer for our library?
So I do know that for Fort Worth, they charge $50 a year for their non-residents, and you don't even get access to their digital collection with that $50. You just get access to the physical collection, so meaning physical books, videos, music, stuff like that. And so most of these other cities do have limits on their non-resident cards. We wouldn't. If we did do this, it would just be like a regular library card. They would have access to all of the things that our current card holders do.
So we offer a higher value.
In my opinion, yes.
Well, I know we do, and the Haslet Library has consistently won statewide awards and is recognized in North Texas as one of the better libraries.
Now, in regards to the $25 fee, what is the other side of the coin to where the city council just allocates you more funds that you need to just support our citizens for a resource that should just be supported by the government? What, is there a lack from the council previously that hasn't provided you enough funding? Or is there a mismanagement of funding within the library that we're having issues with? Or is there a hole in the bucket that we have problems that we need to fill?
I don't know. I think
Let me answer that, and it's neither of those. Library has always gotten what's requested, and in fact, improvements over here in the last 2 years moved within the new facilities, additional librarians, and pay increases on top of that. So there has been none of that. I think I know what this is about, is the citizens of Haslet, Texas, funding programs for non-citizens. That's what the topic is.
Mayor Halsey, I did have a question. I don't know if it's for you or Mr. Page, and the council's aware of this. We received about 5 or 6 more emails asking them to be read aloud to the meeting, but they weren't forwarded to maybe the right person. So how does that work if a citizen sends an email, like I'm looking at one right here that was, everybody on the council is on it, and it says, please read this at the meeting scheduled for 2/3, and then it's an email.
So if you get such as that, then instruct that person to forward it to the city secretary.
So all 5 of us got it. I mean, I was at work all day, so I needed to,
Anybody
So none-
could have
so-
sent it to the city secretary.
so is that our purview for,
I only saw those today. I know exactly what you're talking about, and there was more than what Ms. Lamb read today. So I don't know if somebody can read them now or how you want to handle the ones that haven't been read.
So this item is not a public hearing, and so we are actually, any comments about it would need to have been made actually during the standard public comment section, so they're not really entitled to having their emails read out during the item being discussed right now. Any of y'all are welcome to read them if you so choose, but any comment needs to be sent to the city secretary's office to ensure that it gets read into the record, and because currently it's not in the record because it didn't make it to the appropriate.
so in the future, any of us could forward, and so do we reply back to the citizen, like Mayor said, or do we just forward it on to the acting secretary? What's the proper way to do it moving forward? Either one, okay. So I think that these citizens or these individuals should have what they wrote read. So I don't know if we all want to pick one. I don't want to read them. Maybe read them all. I mean, I will.
You're the English teacher.
So
Is that
you could, let me say this, if you could go ahead and make a motion that you're being driven to make. Evidently, these public.
No, it's not that. I just want that their email and they ask to be read aloud to honor that request.
How many do you have?
Okay, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, well, in the future, again, as a council person, recommend that, so they want to have their email read into the minutes.
That's what
is
you
to ask
say,
them
yeah.
to forward it to the city secretary. That'd be so they are requesting.
So that's
Can you-
education for everybody on the council, correct? We're all.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
everybody.
We got it. Okay.
Anybody and everybody.
Okay.
If I did not receive any. If I had received any, that's exactly how I would have responded to them.
Most
So,
of them came in today when
do
I
you
was at
want to
work.
read one that's representative? You've read them all. So can you read one that's representative?
I'd rather read them all.
Well,
Since they asked to be read aloud.
are they all in disfavor? Can you paraphrase what the sentiment of is?
I'm looking to see if.
I can't, if you don't mind. Most of them were in favor except one. In favor, sorry. Most of them were not in favor of imposing the $25 fee. Only one was in favor of it.
Okay.
Mayor Halsey, I still do have a question though. If you say the library is getting all the resources that they're asking for, then why is it that we're still needing to allocate an additional $25 for non-residents?
Well, no, we're not having to do this for revenue. The revenue is there. It is just making note as and this is part of the job of the library board, as well as the library director, is you have non-residents outnumbering, I guess by a factor of 3, the residents. And that program gets funded by somebody. And this is merely asking, okay, non-residents, please share in the cost. That's all this is.
Okay, so there's no need for the $25, or there's no, dire requirement for us to bring it in?
There's sufficient
The
revenue.
library is going to be able to supply what it needs and be able to cover its carrying costs and things of that sort?
Oh,
So-
there's no funding
So
need.
this isn't a money grab by the library, right? You're not trying to extort non-citizens for using the city of Haslet's resources, are you?
I think
That's not right.
what we're asking the council is to acknowledge that the taxpayers pay for theirs and other users pay for theirs, just share that cost. They don't pay taxes to the city of Haslet at all. But we're asking the citizens of Haslet, Texas to pay for thousands more.
Okay. Well, let me be devil's advocate here. So, in the hindsight of things, so say a person who's a non-resident comes to Haslet to be a patron of our library, right? They have to get gas at one of our gas stations. They have to feed their kids at one of our restaurants. They have to shop at one of the stores in Haslet. And, while they're in the city of Haslet visiting our our library, they're going to be more apt to give the tax revenue, which would be, in the hindsight, more than the $25 per person if we're not looking at it from a greedy perspective. And if you think about over a year's time of somebody bringing their kids in here and getting gas multiple times and going to eat multiple times and going to patronize multiple City of Haslet facilities, would we not be alienating that money now of said 5,000 people who are not residents to be able to make them not come in and bring their tax dollars to Haslet? I mean, is that a very smart, fiscally responsible thing for the leadership of our city to do?
The library is not a draw to cause economic development.
It draws 5,000 people.
And they, over the course of the year, and this is merely an acknowledgement that the citizens of Haslet are increasingly each year paying more in taxes to support a program that is used by more than 3 times the residents that live outside of the city.
I'd like to read one that was by Angela Schwab. She said, "Hello, City Council members. I've been a resident of Haslet for almost 21 years, and I'm proud of our library and what it is for our community. I'm opposed to the proposal to charge non-residents for the use of our library. We have a large community outside of the city limits that benefit from the library, and I don't believe that someone should be charged just because they're outside of city limits or in a different zip code. Libraries should be for everyone, and I don't believe that we should charge someone who has a desire to learn or a need to use the resources for seeking employment. Please read this email aloud in the meeting so that my concerns are expressed. Thank you, Angela Schwab, 512 Birchwood Lane, Haslet 76052. And those were very similar to the other ones we received.
Very good. This is not a money grab or greed, as you characterized it. This is purely acknowledging what you're asking the citizens of Haslet to pay for. So, sounds like folks are pretty well set. Is there any further discussion? If not, well, let's entertain a motion.
I've got another question. You said of the 76% that are non-residents, 80% of those are Fort Worth?
78%.
78% of those are Fort Worth. And Fort Worth charges $50, so we would, if you're a Haslet resident to get a Fort Worth card, you would be charged $50.
Correct.
Okay. No, I don't think it's a money grab, and it's just pretty common sense. I would do a reciprocal agreement with whatever city charges you, charge them the same amount. For example, if you have in this consortium of libraries that don't charge anything, then I would not charge those residents. But Fort Worth, if they're going to charge us, why shouldn't we charge them? And it's actually a lesser amount. And this is not putting a burden on us. We're already paying for it. It's just alleviating the problem. You're getting more people coming in, more traffic, so you need more money to fund it.
That's not, that would not be a legal basis to charge a fee. It's been estimated at $25 a card. The library can, that would help sustain any additional librarians and the materials that they use to fund that program, and no profit made. It's just covering cost. The Constitution itself forbids an agreement such as that. You have to have a basis for any fee that you charge. Any municipality does. So that would be an impossibility, really, to, okay, if you're from Fort Worth, you got to pay $50. If you're from over here, you pay $100. If you're over here, oh, you pay nothing. We couldn't write an ordinance like that.
It's Mayor
And
Halsey.
I will say that the other cities that we are in the consortium with, they're getting their own cards from those cities. And so we wouldn't be charging them because we wouldn't need to, because they can go to those libraries and get their resident cards there.
Sir Mayor Halsey, going off the basis of what you just said, what is the cost basis? Is $25 the right amount? Is it $10? Should we be going like an up, hey, we just go up $10 this year, $15 next year, up to the 25? But what was the cost basis to make it $25?
Kelly?
Since we're supporting it.
We came to that number with just looking at basically industry standards, what we do offer. It is a big collection because it's not just what's in the building next door. It's what's in those other 10 libraries as well. And again, we wanted something that was palatable for people. We didn't want to, Dallas charges $250 a year. And if you pay them $25 a year, you can check out 5 items. This would be $25 a year. You can check out 50 items on a card. So yeah, it's basically looking at other libraries in the area and the state and looking at different population sizes and populations served, and that's the number we came up with.
Now, are you guys able to get any data of these Fort Worth and other cities that charge these fees, how many memberships they actually have? Now, granted, take that into relevance of the total population of Fort Worth. I'm looking at it percentage-wise, obviously, because we got to base everything percentage-wise. Haslet has 2,000-3,000 residents total, maybe, depending on whatever the current rate is. So,
like, what percentage of their patrons are non-residents?
what percentage of the population actually pay that fee to go to the library? Because Fort Worth can afford to have a $15-20 million library built, and their total revenue generate that they come in with. So I want to know is, of the outsider fees, are they pushing people away with these fees, or are they actually generating memberships by people coming in and paying this dollar amount versus coming to a Haslet that's free? And then second part is, you said we're in a coalition with 10 other libraries. Why is it that if there's only one currently doing it and us being considered one of the 9 others that not, why are all libraries, associated not doing this same practice?
Some of the other libraries, their areas are out of land and they're done developing, and we are not. And that's part of why we're talking about this. It would be different if we were done growing or if the surrounding areas were done growing, but we're not. And so this is essentially to slow things down, if possible.
How does our library compare to Roanoke Library?
Is in terms of what?
Size, number of patrons, they're quite a bit bigger. I mean, the reason I'm asking is I know just last year they made it that everybody in Denton County and Tarrant County can have free access to everything digital and in their collection. They're a much bigger, library than us, so.
They can, yeah, so that's, and I think you just said it, basically, they can handle more. And,
Excuse me, Ms. Turner, and this may have already been discussed. I'm running behind today. So we've got an agreement with, you said, I think 11 other cities, towns. Is Fort Worth one of those 11? Okay, so that's separate. So there's 11 others. If they have cards in their cities, they can come here and it's reciprocal with them. It's just City of Fort Worth. Okay, that helps. Thank you.
All right, sounds like, Council, you have a lot of questions that if you would write those questions down and forward it to Ms. Turner and I, and we'll get those answers or attempt to get those answers. Some of them were quite involved, and I'm not sure I quite understand what the request was. But it sounds like you're not ready to vote on this.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Please, Liddell.
I would like to make a motion to not approve an ordinance updating the fee schedule to reflect the library circulation policy and implementing an annual library fee of $25 to non-residents of the City of Haslet.
The motion is made is not to approve the ordinance updating the fee schedule to reflect the library circulation policy and implementing an annual library fee of $25 to non-residents of the City of Haslet. Is there a second?
Mayor Hosey, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, I would like just to I had a couple of notes. I mean, as an English teacher, this is very passionate for me, and we had a lot of people that wrote in that I will forward so that they can be heard next meeting if this moves on. But I just think that it does. Local libraries do contribute to our economy. They come in, they do shop, they stay. They're community hubs more than they are just a library system. I think that non-residents do spend money in our city. They help our local businesses, and they should have access shouldn't be a privilege limited by residency. Everyone should have equal access to knowledge if they want it. So those are just my thoughts.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to make a comment also. I think, I hear everybody's arguments and I agree with some of them, but given the fact that out of the 76%, which is 5,676 residents, 80% of those are from Fort Worth that will be charging us if we want to go to their libraries, $50. That's 25 more than what we would be charging these citizens. Given those facts, I don't agree with not charging these folks this much. Again, if we can't do reciprocal, then that's the reason why I don't agree in us not charging them.
Very good. Any further discussion?
I'd like to make a comment also too, because I don't know if we've actually looked at the impact of, again, we just have a library from Fort Worth that went down the road on Golden Triangle. We're going to have a new one coming in down the road on Avondale Haslet. They are going to be charging $50, so we will eventually, people are going to recognize that Fort Worth charges $50, Haslet only charges nothing, or Haslet only charges $25. You're going to get a lot more people coming to Haslet based just upon that fact by itself. I may not think that 25, is the right amount. I just don't, because again, if there's only one other person doing it at 25, but we got 10 other people or 9 other people still offering it for free, is 25 the right amount? I don't know if that's the right amount or not. I'm not opposed against charging. I just don't know if that's the right amount.
Carrie, I want to ask, so if you said people do start coming here for the cheaper price or the no price, is that a positive or a negative, you're saying?
Well, once again, to be fair, we would be putting up Haslet citizens that do pay taxes are the ones that would be putting up the cost for the library. We get a lot more people coming in, there is going to be more cost that the library is going to be actually asking to have.
I think that I hear what you said, but Fort Worth residents won't pay $50.
Right.
They use their library for free. It's the non-residents. If a Haslet citizen went down Avondale Haslet Road in a couple of years when that library opens and wants to use that library, then the Haslet citizen would pay $50.
So that makes
and likewise, their residents are not paying anything.
So then that makes the opposite thing. If 2 years Avondale Haslet comes in and the people of Fort Worth that are probably using this are Sendera Ranch and the people west of Haslet. So if they come in and they don't have to pay, are they going to be reluctant to are we going to start losing people from this side? So again, there's 2 arguments to be made on either side. And again, I just think we need to have the cost basis to identify what we're planning on. I understand we're a net neutral. It's net neutral, and that we do expect people from, outside of Haslet to pay their fair share, since Haslet residents are the ones paying for the library right now. So I understand both arguments.
Well, and think about it from this perspective. The city of Haslet is still going to pay for the library regardless. What we're really considering is, are we going to push away outside people who will spend money in our city for an asset that we're already funding? It's going to be funded regardless whether someone from Fort Worth comes in or not. We're still paying the same money. And now you're going to alienate people who, I'm sorry, but our library is not on the same playing field as what Avondale Haslet will be. We will not have the same technology package. We will not have the same library capacity. We will not have the same total, digital library that we're speaking of. And that's not a knock on us. I love this city. I'm just a very realistic person. And I'm not going to push away revenue when our city drastically needs it over a hope that somebody won't get pissed off and go somewhere else that they don't have to pay for instead of coming here and giving us tax revenue. Again, appreciate everything you're doing. This isn't towards you one bit. It is towards the bigger point of we don't need as much government and municipality and extra fees. Hence my question of, are we upside down? Do we need the money? We do not. So why are we going to shoot ourselves in the foot if we don't have to? If we're not in the red, we're in the black right now, is what you're telling me. And no one's contradicting that. So why are we going to impose something that is going to drive people away from our city instead of to our city to bring their money to us? Tell me the common sense in that.
I had another question he brought up about programs. Will this
Okay,
affect
excuse me.
Oh.
We have a motion and a second on the floor.
And now we're in discussion,
And
Mayor.
I asked if but we had discussion session prior.
So we can't have
I would ask
additional
that
questions?
you wrap up your comments so we can call for the vote.
Yes, sir. I only had two more things to ask. Will it affect programs or just, like if I want to come to Teen D&D, will that affect non-residents and residents? Okay.
No, but when that's a whole other discussion.
Okay,
But,
then we don't have to get into that.
yeah,
So what was that question?
if it would keep people out of programs for, story time or for reading to Rover or stuff like that. That would, again, that's a whole other discussion because then we would have to have somebody checking cards at the door.
Okay.
Which we don't want to do, but having said that, there are programs where Haslet citizens can't get in because there are a bunch of non-residents that are taking up the space.
And then you're right, that's a whole other can of worms.
Correct.
We don't have time for that. And the other thing is, if this fee was imposed, would the money be earmarked for the library? It'd be them, like a budget line item?
It would go into the general fund,
So
as
would it-
all fees do.
It wouldn't,
It will go into the general fund.
street-
That's the way the accounting is.
okay.
And the library makes its request, and the library, nor any other department, has been denied their request.
Okay, so there wouldn't be a separate item, it would go
No,
general fund?
no.
And then,
It
and
is-
every fee, okay, I didn't realize every fee did that, so.
Every fee is done that way.
So street maintenance is a tax, okay. Okay.
All right, a motion is made and seconded. I call for the vote. And all in favor? Aye. Okay, all opposed? Aye. Okay, the ayes have it, and so the ordinance does not pass.
Not to belabor the point, there are, we've already discussed this ordinance for quite a while, but most of the ordinance actually just codifying fines that were already adopted by the city council. And so if we could just, if we're okay with just adopting the provisions to chapter 11.100 library fines.
I think what I'd like to do is we just bring it back to the next meeting. We'll clean this up, just adjusting the fines.
So, hold on, so we made a motion, we seconded, do I need to amend how I say that? Because I think we're all voting
It's
for the
already
right
been
thing.
voted
It's already
on.
been voted on, this would have been a new.
Gotcha, got it, okay.
But we're gonna bring it back.
We'll bring it back at the next meeting. All right, then. Item 8C, discuss, consider, act regarding the approval of the site and landscape plans for lots 4A, 4B, and 9R of Laterra Village. Mr. Schwanke.
Yeah, Mayor and members of the council, this is a site plan that's just west of the Women's Clinic that was just recently approved, and it contains 1.676 acres. There are going to be 3 tracks there. 2 of them have buildings at this point. The one on 9R does not have a building on it. Can you go to the site plan, please? But it's needed for circulation of the site. So when they decide the building and the size of it, they'll come back with a site plan revision to the 9R tract. Contained in the package, there are landscape plans, and there are also a photometric plan for these 2 sites. Having said that, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this at their last meeting, and they are recommending approval to the City Council.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go to the public hearing. It's 7:51. I open the public hearing on this site and landscape plans for lots 4A, 4B, 9R of Laterra Village. Is there anybody who would like to speak to this project? Do we have anybody online?
No, sir.
All right, I close the public hearing again at 7:51. So it's to you, council.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to motion to approve the site and landscape plans for lots 4A, 4B, and 9R of Laterra Village.
Motion is made to approve the site and landscape plans for lots 4A, 4B, 9R of Laterra Village. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just one quick question, and if Mr.
Who's the
Mays
question
could
to?
be to Mr. Mays. I just want to verify, I know it says we voted on it, but the radii for the 25 to 30 foot difference in the fire lanes, is that acceptable for our fire department?
Fire marshal reviewed it and says that it was.
Thank you.
Any other? All right, it's been motioned and seconded. I call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. 8D, discuss, consider, act regarding the approval of the replat of lot 15R1, Block 12, City of Haslet. Mr. Swanky.
And Mayor, members of the council, this is 120 Main Street, which is catty corner from where we're sitting right now. When this was platted before, they had some very large setbacks that were shown on the plat, and you always enforce the most restrictive, and they had a 15-foot side yard, interior side yard, and then they also had a 30-foot front yard. And with our ordinance that we have for the downtown core, it was changed to 5 foot on the inside, and also 25 foot on the front, and the side yard on First Street is actually measured from the sidewalk instead of the property line. So it's a little bit different than what it was shown on the plat. And there was encroachments for the existing building that when it was originally platted. We don't know how those happened, but you know, it's been a long time ago when that house was originally built and the SLAM put it in place. But with the new ordinance that we have in place, this plat is in compliance with that. And the Planning and Zoning Commission also reviewed this, and on their 28th meeting, they recommended approval to the City Council.
All right, council. It is to you.
I do have one question, Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
for Morris, if possible. I know when we approved the ordinance change and everything, one thing that was mentioned, because I think someone even mentioned it in the audience, that there would be no changes unless you're actually selling the property. I don't think, you know, everyone would be grandfathered on these. So is there a reason why this is replatted?
Yeah, the lots were grandfathered as existing lots the way they're platted. And so, you know, the size of the lot doesn't have to change. However, you know, the setbacks are on a plat, which is a filed document, and if somebody would build outside of those requirements, then on a filed document, we have no recourse but to say no. And so this actually helps out the lot to, makes it more buildable.
So basically, this is if someone were going to buy it and rebuild on it, that they would have to abide by the new ordinance.
That's correct.
Okay.
Or make an addition to the site.
And the city of Haslet owns this property, correct?
The
Or
B-Board
community,
does.
not the city, the Haslet Community Economic Development.
Yes. And they are looking to sell this tract, and that's one of the things that a prospective purchaser is looking at is, well, those are pretty restrictive setbacks that are on that lot, but that's not what our ordinance says as far as what they can be now if it's replatted according to the rules.
Yeah, Mr. Swanky, do we know if there's any other lots that fall in this type of situation?
There probably are some others that are scattered throughout. We'll have to look at them on an individual basis. It's really hard to say because this is actually a revision of a revision. What they did, originally, and which ones are original and which ones are not. But this is the way it sits right now. There's some large setbacks, like on the interior, it says 15 foot. Well, the existing building overlaps that right now.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, council.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion
please.
to approve the replat of Lot 15R1, Block 12, City of Haslet.
Motion is made to approve the replat of Lot 15R1, Block 12, City of Haslet. Is there a second?
Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Item 8E, discuss, consider, and act on approving the City of Fort Worth, City of Haslet Emergency Medical Services Interlocal Agreement revision. The revision is they inserted the words of a subscription ambulance services and made some minor corrections of changing from city to Fort Worth and various places. To describe, you may ask, well, what is a subscription ambulance services? A subscription ambulance service is somewhat of a policy that you can take out. So when you call for an ambulance service and they come and pick you up and they take you to the hospital, there's a charge for that ambulance service that the provider encumbers, or cost anyway. And they look to your insurance. Hopefully you have insurance, but they look to your insurance to pay what they will towards that fee. But they can also look to you to make, as an individual, to make up that difference in between what your insurance will pay and what is the cost of that service. This subscription ambulance service, as it exists now under MedStar, and they're just incorporating it into the Fort Worth EMS service, is, I believe it's $65 a year, and that covers your family, so it's a household. And should you or any member of your family requires ambulance service, they will still go to your insurance to look to cover the cost, but what cost difference it is between the service and the insurance, this policy pays it. They don't come to you as an individual asking you to make up that difference. So that's what subscription ambulance services are. Fort Worth will be coming out more about that program in the future. But that was embedding that service into the ordinance itself. It just inadvertently got left out, not intentionally, but hence this revision.
How is it paid for?
How's what paid for?
You said that it's $65 per family. I guess I'm trying to.
Yeah, you would pay for it yourself. It's a voluntary program. You would call the city of Fort Worth or fill out their form and say, yes, I would like to have that service. So it's done as an individual.
It's similar to the one MedStar used to offer?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mayor Halsey? I'd like to make a motion to approve the City of Fort Worth, City of Haslet Emergency Medical Services EMS interlocal agreement revisions.
Motion is made to approve the City of Fort Worth, City of Haslet Emergency Medical Services interlocal agreement revisions. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, council. Item F, 8F, discuss, consider, act on authorizing the mayor to execute a property exchange contract between the City of Haslet and AIL West 3 LLC, otherwise known as Hillwood. The presentation, please. Yes, if you could zoom that down. Okay. The property that Haslet owns, there is a triangle and to the north is the Epry property. You're familiar with that. That's 2.301 acres. Our property does not have frontage, well, access to Haslet Parkway. AIL West 3, Hillwood, is willing to exchange this 2.3 acres in the green for 2.3 acres in the blue, which gives us property ownership all the way to Haslet Parkway, thus installing access to the property from Haslet Parkway. And that's what this is. There's no exchange in cost. It is like acreage for like acreage. We each pay for our own replats.
Did you say we would have to pay for the replatting?
Oh, we pay for each
You would do ours
party
over
will
theirs.
pay. We'll pay for ours, around estimated at $6,500, which includes another survey of the entire property and the plat. And AIL West 3 will do the same for theirs.
Do we need to address, Mayor Halsey, where those funds come from in any amendment? Or
Say it again?
in any motion, do we need to address where those funds would come from?
No, it's in the write-up. It's that's where there's Fund 19, Project 2025 funds are there, $75,000. It would come from there.
Mayor Halsey?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute a property exchange contract between the City of Haslet and AIL West 3 LLC.
All right, a motion is made to authorize the mayor to execute a property exchange contract between the City of Haslet and AIL West 3 LLC. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There is a second. Any further discussion?
I just got one quick question.
Yes.
If you would pull up the chart again, is it fenced? Is it currently fenced, a triangle?
Is the green triangle, is it fenced?
Yes.
Yes.
So are they going to provide a fence on the 531 feet there to close that off? Do you know?
We will.
The city will.
Yeah.
Do you
They or us. That's
Okay, just
their
curious.
T-post.
Okay, so it's not a huge cost to
No,
fix that? Okay.
no.
All right, thank you.
All right, motion is made and seconded. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Item 8G, discuss, consider, and act regarding the hiring of a city manager for the City of Haslet, Texas. Okay. Mr. Page, you want to present this?
Mr. Page, before you present, can I ask something? That might alleviate all of what you're going to tell us, which is we can't do this based on the city ordinance and so on and so forth, would we be able to make a motion to amend this to recodify the ordinances voted on July 18th of 22, ordinance 0102-02, ordinance 0902-03, and ordinance 012-2012, which, to sum it up, was all the legalities needed for our governmental body to have a city manager/administrator.
So how I was going to introduce this was that this was an item requested by you, Councilmember Watkins. Pursuant to our code of ordinances, any council member is able to request an item to be placed on a future agenda. The one that was requested was verbatim what is listed here, the hiring of a city manager for the City of Haslet, Texas. And so the summary here, Chapter 25 of the Local Government Code, I provided that to you all as well via email. That is what's being discussed tonight. If you would like to have that discussed, specifically amending or repealing any previous ordinances that were adopted relating to the current structure of the government here, that would be something that you could request again, but that's not on tonight's agenda. So that is something that could be discussed at a future time.
So I did have a question. So we are not and have never been a city manager form of government, correct? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes.
Okay. So but this is asking, this agenda item is asking to move to that type of government.
So a city manager is a legal term under the local government code.
Right.
And so a city manager is different than a city administrator or a city facilitator, or whatever other term there may be, because the term city manager is specifically within a specific type of government structure where you have not a strong mayor, which is what type A general law cities have by their very creation. 5 aldermen plus a mayor who serves as the CEO. However, there is a structure, which is Chapter 25, which you all received, that would allow a type A city, such as Haslet, to move towards that. But that does require a petition from the people, an election. Previously, Haslet had an administrator.
Okay.
And so that does not require an election.
That's why I want to make sure, since I haven't been on council for forever, or for a very long time at all. We never were a city manager form of government. We never then got rid of it, then went back to it. We've always been the same.
To the best of my knowledge, I also have not,
Perfect.
been here forever.
But that is correct. I can answer it. It never has been a city manager council form of government.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So for my own clarity then, if the agenda item would have stated a city administrator versus a city manager, it would have a different impact on the agenda item?
Yes. So
Duly
if
noted.
you want to send your request in, as you did previously, and we'll put that on the agenda.
Thank you, sir. And to council's suggestion, I will just suggest the recodification of the previous ordinances that have already been vetted and such throughout the city and the legalities of such. So I will just place those on the item to bring back before the council.
So there is no action that can be taken on this item tonight. And so we'll expect a new item request. Very good. We would go on to the executive session, section 551072 Government Code deliberations regarding real property purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if deliberation in an open meeting would have detrimental effect on position of the governmental body in negotiation with a third person, particularly here NISD property exchange. So if you will meet me in the boardroom, council, say in, what time do we have? 8:10. If you'll meet me there at,
Before we adjourn, is this something that I need to recuse myself of, or is this nothing that's affecting?
Yes, both Councilmember Watkins and Mayor Pro Tem Morrow need to recuse themselves, as this does involve purchase or sale of property owned by Northwest ISD.
very good. Well, thank you for bringing that up. All right, so the remainder of you, meet me in the boardroom, please. 5 minutes? Sure, 5 minutes. And I recess the open meeting at, excuse me. I recess the open meeting at 8:11 p.m. Did you get that time, Marcy? 8:11 p.m. Recessing the open meeting?
I had it as 8:10, but I'll change it. Just observing. I think he's going to stay around because he's observing the city council meeting. So just more people questions.
We see all this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was going to need somebody to sign. It's like, okay, but
I think the funniest one I've ever had is a P&Z meeting. I wasn't having to do with this, but 2 people came in and sat down, and they were there very early, and I thought I think they're going to be here for the guy goes, is this where the meeting's being held? I said, okay, he said, if you can make it work. He said,
no, that's right.
he's like, well, it says here at the library. I'm like, the library's not here. He's like, okay. He's like, this is different meeting. This is, yes.
Yeah, they used to meet over there.
I thought that was funny. I was like, that's a whole different thing.
Right.
That's why I was informed. I didn't see when you first came in.
Thank you, council, audience. The time is 8:25 p.m. We'll resume our open session. 10, there are no actions to take resulting from the executive session. Future agenda items, what we have coming is a ordinance designating our fire department as a full-time paid fire department in lieu of volunteer fire department. And we have the Quick Trip Community Facilities Agreement. Any other items?
Mayor Halsey, I would like, when is our next meeting? The 18th of February? Okay.
If you could, all right, and if you would, send us an email, time and date, and the item, as per our ordinance.
Oh, okay, so it has to be in written? It can't be public or asked?
Well, that's what it asked for.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, so it has to be a written
Yes.
Request. Okay.
All right. Item 12, adjourn. May I have a motion?
Mayor Halsey, I move to adjourn.
Motion is made to adjourn. Second.
Mayor Halsey, I'll second.
There's a second. All in favor? Thank you very much. It's unanimous. Doug, did you say aye?
Aye. We all said aye.
Very good. Thank you. And we conclude the council meeting at 8:27 p.m.